ever walk in on your mom having an abortion? It's kind of like what I felt when I first saw Stormsink's video. How you doing? Harlan Phoenix, internet. Harlan Phoenix here. I'm a just, average nerd. Nerd of all facets. I like sci-fi-ish. Haven't seen much recent stuff, though. I want to see Babylon 5. Not important. Comics. Love DC. But I like me Marvel, too. Especially since I'm making this. Slave labor graphics. Gargoyles. Yes. Cartoons. Again. Gargoyles. Yes. I'm also a Spider-Man fan. Generally like Sam Raimi's movies. Which is why I was surprised to read it. See, habits. Watch a video with a strange overweight man saying he hated Raimi's movies. And that's what interests me, because most overweight nerds actually like Sam Raimi's movies. What do I know? But I just want to address some complaints here. I just want to respond because I feel the need to respond. Because I like saying my opinion. I like when my opponent is stupid, because that means I sound smarter by comparison. Instead of saying, like, example, if I were to debate someone who was intelligent and well-researched in whatever he was talking about, regardless of how trivial it is. This could be Spider-Man, it could be quantum physics, which I'm admittedly not very good at, what have you, doesn't matter. If I'm responding to an intelligent person who is well-researched, it doesn't look as good for me, because people listening on will just think, hey, those two guys are pretty smart there, they know what they're talking about, they're really intelligent. That was enlightening to me. But if I'm talking to just an idiot, it becomes, man, that Harlan Phoenix guy sure was smart. I like that guy. You don't even register a stupid guy. It's like, what? And that's why I'm replying to Stormsink. Because like the cheetah, I attack the weakest in the herd. Awesome. So, just to address some things he said, he kind of contradicts himself, doesn't he? I mean, he's kind of for the literal translation sort of thing. Which, okay, I can see if you're a purist who doesn't understand things like writing, that I can see that working. I can see that being a viewpoint that one would embrace. Slight problem with it, though. He also says his high school Peter Parker would have Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn as friends. Now, not to say I disagree with that. That was done with the recent Spectacular Spider-Man, a distillation of the mythos by Greg Weisman and Victor Cook. Excellent work. Excellent. But it's not literal. It takes a lot from the source material, but it's very much a distillation. It's very much doing things that were not originally there to compensate for the medium. And that's what Stormsink does. You, Stormsink, since this is a video reply to you, I don't know why I'm talking to everyone else, but you don't seem to quite understand. Mediums are different. They work for comics. The sequence of events in Spider-Man stories work for comics. They don't really work for movies. Movies you have, in a movie, average movie, have maybe 90 minutes, 2 hours to tell one big story. Maybe if you get a sequel, great, but that just means you have to tell one other big story. Here's what's interesting to me. You praise Watchmen because of it being a literal adaptation, but you don't account that the movie lost all of the elements of metafiction, which was what made Watchmen notable in the first place. Sure, it was sort of a treatise on deism in some parts, definitely a look at the superhero, bluntly, but a lot of what made Watchmen great was the comic book metafiction. The idea that it was very much a comment on comics. It was written for the comic medium. Just an example. How do I put this? Let me think. Oh, okay. The final essay, the prose piece near the end of the story, with Dan Draberg commenting on the beauty of an owl and how analyzing it took away its beauty. My favorite part of the comic books, my favorite part of Watchmen, that prose piece, which technically isn't even a comic. That little part, it's a prose piece. Funny essay. Huh? Who knew? It was like a direct assault against what the very story was about. Watchmen was this giant dissection of and deconstruction of the comic book and the superhero, and yet near the end we're saying, hey, at the end it just says, hey, fuck it, don't worry about that. Who cares? Just enjoy it. It's a comic book. Chill the fuck out. But they didn't have any of that. I mean, Watchmen was just kind of, hey, this is a cool action movie, we have some cool things to say, but it wasn't the metafictional comment on its medium that the original was, which is why I thought it felt flat. Maybe concepts like metafiction or exploring things like mediums and what have you, maybe you don't understand what that means, which is likely. But that doesn't mean the movie was any better with it. You know? I mean, I enjoyed the fact that Watchmen was a comic book about comic books. It wasn't a story about the characters so much as, about the medium, but the characters were great and fleshed out. But that's not the point. I mean, Rorschach, deconstruction of Steve Ditko's objectivist philosophy, whatever. That loses all meaning with a movie. That's not important. We're talking about Spider-Man. But yeah, you're asking for a distillation of the mythos in movies that you also want to be more accurate. Broseph, Peter didn't meet Harry and Gwen until college. Why won't you use the pre-college cast for your first movie? Why not Betty Brant? She was Peter's first girlfriend, But you don't mention Betty Brant at all. I wonder why. I would like you to answer why. Because you seem to be open for more literal. You'll say no to distillations of the mythos. Like, you'll say no to Dr. Octopus, apparently. For whatever reason, even though Doc Ock was sort of made a combination of Otto Octavius and Kirk Connors out of a bit of thematic necessity. But you don't know what that means. Why am I saying that? But you seem confident in your ability to do terrible things. But you're asking for a literal translation, just like in the comics you repeated in your weird retard slur, while trying to distill the mythos. Look up what those words mean. I don't get it. I mean, comics aren't movies. And why are you bitching about Mary Jane dying, and yet suggest Gwen Stacy's death? The movie Mary Jane wasn't anything like comic book Mary Jane. She was actually like comic book Gwen Stacy, and the movie Gwen Stacy was kind of like movie Mary Jane, actually. So by your logic, if you want to be truer to the comics, since Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy have basically switched roles and they literally only share the different character's name, you should actually support Mary Jane dying, because that would leave room for Gwen Stacy, because they're reversed. But you didn't pick up on that. Hell, I don't think you even realized the only rendition of Mary Jane that actually was accurate outside of the comics was, again, Greg Weisman's Spectacular Spider-Man. Hell, he should do the reboot. Get Brian Michael Bendis and Greg Weisman on that shit. I'd like to see that. But that's not important. The things you say don't make any sense. The third movie was so terrible because of studio mandates. Raimi lost more and more control as it went on. He wanted the Vulture in Spider-Man 3. They wanted him to put Venom in it. There were plenty of things he wanted to do. He'd go, Mary Jane wasn't supposed to die. IGN reports pretty much explain. Was it IGN or Newsarama, Comic Book Resources? I don't know. But news sites are reporting that the plan was for Mary Jane and Peter to have a baby. Baby May, hell yeah. Actually evolving his character. But, I mean, who cares about that? Who cares about seeing the everyman actually do things the everyman would do? No, that's not. Right? So while you continue to make things up and poorly research yourself, other people, who actually love the medium, love the character, they know what they're talking about. Here's a challenge for you. You and me. Screenwriting contest. You're confident you can write Spider-Man better than professionals. You're confident that you understand the movie medium and the necessities of adapting comics to film better than those who actually do so, and did so critically and financially successfully, I might add. Alright. You come from a school of thought that requires literal translation. I come from a school of thought that requires thematic translation with changes as necessary. You and me. Screenwriting contest. Each of us writes Spider-Man's origin. We put it out on the internet. Put to poll who's better. If you can do it better than me, and if you claim that you can do it better than the studios, this challenge should be no problem for you. Harlan Phoenix, signing off.